Welcome everyone. Nick Ottinger here once again with Team Conti Sim Performance. We are at Martinsville Speedway this week, a couple short tracks in a row to close out our NASCAR actual season, and we will be having some cool track temps. It's October time, going to be end of October time by the time we get this week done, and overall you're going to have some cool track temps, which means more speed than what we had in season 2 when we were here. So I'm gonna let this play through for 5 laps in our Xfinity series and really just let you encapsulate what I'm doing on track, and then I'll dive into a couple things I'm looking at visually and what we need to attack for the track. So, with that said, I'm gonna let this roll through. All right, all right. So, pretty good 5 laps, and I'm gonna turn my webcam on here for you guys. And you noticed our first lap, second lap weren't as quick as our third, fourth, and fifth. And that's because cooler track temps, I can push that first lap, obviously, but I'd rather build up to some consistency from where I push the tires to come into at that 5 lap stage, and then use that advantage for the longevity of the tire and longevity of the race. So I'll dissect this lap here on our fifth lap and give you guys visually what I'm looking for in, on the track, what I'm trying to do, everything like that. But again, qualifying is going to be a little quicker because you're actually going to angle for your straight line off forward to take your lap. But the potential of this car is still there on a third or fourth lap. So just be aware that the first lap or two, you may just need to fill out. And I would do that in practice and everything. So to dissect what I'm looking to do on the track and anything, I have to attack the entry first. I have to understand what the entry needs to have. And with a braking track like Martinsville or any type of short track, more often than not, we're going to be slamming down to the splitter. So my objective is to not be too hard on the brakes, to lock the fronts for one, but also lock it to where it slams into the splitter and I have no capability to turn the car anyway. So I want to be proactive. I want to turn away from the wall and just a hair to set up for my landing portion for when the nose compresses down to the track. So as you can see here, I'm going to do this in slow mo, and I'm going to turn away from the wall about now. And now I'm going to start lifting and braking. Now my objective is to look for where I want my entry to be. The closest point I want to be to the curbing. Do I want to be right on there or not? Do I want to give myself a quarter of a lane of room before I work max wheel input? Those are things I'm thinking in my head, okay? So all that in that moment, I'm thinking closer I get to this actual curbing for turn one entry. But before that, I have to make sure I'm not on the brake too heavy. I don't want to be on it 70% and stay 70% because, again, I add all that pressure to the front, I'm going to be getting into the splitter. And that's going to hurt the qualities of turning the car, obviously. So that's number one. Don't use too much brake initially. You can use peak pressure to slow it down, but you want to get off to a trail braking effect at a certain point once you get closer to the corner. So you can see I get to my peak pressure, give myself capability to turn into the corner, keep the car balanced, not keeping it free, in the sense of using too much brake and not enough to turn the wheel. I want to make sure my entry speed's consistent. It's feeling neutral where the front can grip if I were to get off the brake, and the rear can actually take the corner with confidence without carrying too much speed. So that's the biggest thing. Now my objective, what I'm looking for is I want to angle down to this curbing consistently. I want to make sure the braking's there, and once I start adding more wheel input, I want to trail off the brake so I'm not creating a tight condition again, slide in the front. I want to carry that entry speed I'm carrying and utilize it to the center. So what my eyes are looking at is this curbing, and it's still looking at this curbing, instinctually trying to wrap it without hitting the curbing. So now that I'm at that technical apex, I want to continue the apex. My objective is to stay on the brake, understand that I need to look a little bit ahead, and continue to maybe angle for my exit. So I opened it up just a hair, about a tire width, half a tire width, to then add more wheel input so I can get off a little bit lower. And I'm going to actually get to my throttle now. So now what I'm looking at is this whole curbing. Before I get to this Valley Star logo on the wall, I'm looking right here still. But my perception is still giving me all this ability to look at. But I look here for a brief second and understand, okay, I can't clip this curbing any further. I can't add more wheel inputs. I got to start opening the wheel up like I need to. So I open it up and add 100% throttle because I'm doing a linear process and I don't want to keep that wheel angle all the way to the left and break it free. I want to drive off to the corner as straight as possible. And to do that, you don't just mat the gas with like 90 degrees of wheel input to do it. You use that efficiency to start opening the wheel up and understand that, okay, I don't want to create any wheel slip. I don't want to get free off the corner and break and loop the car because you do all that in one moment. So that's why you open the wheel up consistently. And a lot of times what I look for here is looking at the center of this exit and making sure I'm not opening the wheel up too much. If I'm looking here already, that's a detriment to me because I'm going to start instinctually angle towards it to where now I want to make sure I want to wrap the corner as long as I can, and my objective is to look at the end of this concrete and at this second logo. Just to give you guys a reference. For turn 3, important qualities again, and same thing. I'm going to actually turn away from the wall, get to my braking, and this is the trickier part. Turn 3 is easier to break free in because you're going to carry more interest, but you're going to be more committed because you see there's a lot more capability to actually use the track and use this banking a little bit into the curbing. But it's deceiving sometimes because people use too much brake all the way in this stage. Going down here with the braking, you can see how I'm keeping a consistent fixed rate and then I'm trailing off of it earlier because I'm not trailing off completely, I'm starting that trailing off effect. And that's to give me the balance to get into where the front's not gripping too much, but also I'm not creating a loose condition and breaking free because I'm carrying too much entry speed. I'm keeping a consistent balance. So my objective here before I get to, the pit actual barrels here is I want to get my angle and I'm looking to make sure I'm not clipping this curbing, but I'm getting as close as I can to continue wrapping it at that barrel. And now I'll start opening that up a little bit just to make sure because this curbing is deceiving. It's not a symmetrical, radius. It will deceive you to where you will actually get on top of it and get your balance out of whack. So I'm still looking at objectively trying not to hit this curbing. So I'll open it up for a brief moment, and when you see again the same Valley Star logo on the corner exit, is when I will start opening the wheel up for when I need to start getting to 100% throttle. So with the same mindset at the end of this concrete where it transitions is where I'm still continuing to look. So I'm not exiting right here and I'm not getting too close to the wall too soon. So with that said, is that's what I'm looking. That's what my mind, processes in those moments for visually and everything like that. So I'm gonna go to lap 22, 23. Just let it play for you guys in chase view, and we'll just give some closing thoughts on that. And so you guys can see some difference. You can see we had some fall off, about 4/10 to half a second. So you will have some fall off if you have longer green flag runs. But let's let this go. Open a diamond effect that we just referenced, that I would open up the center here. Turn 3, easy to overshoot. Exit a little bit lower, open the wheel up. The peak area where I will actually get to the wall off of 4 is near the start finish line actually. That way I keep the same straight quality that the wall has. But that's something I continually do at a track like this because I don't want to get to it too early, and I don't want to use all that real estate. So, but that's my processes of what I look for at a track like this. And you've seen Chase perspective, fall off and everything like that. So, um, I don't have too much more to add on how I would look at the track and attack it, other than just make sure you're not overshooting your entry, because in that sense you will have some qualities to where if you overshoot your entry, you're compromised for the center. You're compromised for really the rest of the corner, to where you need to get to 100% throttle and your momentum side of the lap. So that's some qualities you have to be cognizant of. Don't overshoot your entry. You may underdrive it, and that's okay. That gives you a little bit more control as a driver to then trail off the brake sooner and give yourself the quality of the center that you need to have, instead of overshooting and then you compromise everything, and then you're really just hurting your tires more often than not. So, but that's going to do it for us. It's going to do it for me here on Xfinity Track Guide with you guys. But if you guys got any questions, always a DM away. And if you need anything, just reach out. Thank you again.